We figured out how to help the veteran. What about the wife? What about us? Literally, we give up everything to make sure that everything flows properly. We don't talk about the things that hurt us. So having this medication available is something that I think that everybody should have the chance to be able to use. My life before my psychedelic experiences was a little bit of a jigsaw. I'm an immigrant. My parents came from the United Kingdom to Canada when I was 5. So I found in my teenage years, I wasn't sure of who I was. And I didn't have a lot of that family roots around me to kind of help me settle and kind of find a baseline of who Dawn is. So when I was, in my late teens, you kind of heard about psychedelics. You used cannabis every once in a while, but nothing really groundbreaking. I had depression as a teenager. And at that time, it was one of those things where doctors would just say to you, it's just a phase that you're going through. It'll get better, And so you just get used to dealing with it, dealing with the sad feelings, dealing with the challenging feelings. And nobody talked about it. Once I kind of became in my early 20s, you become an adult now and you don't have time to be depressed or anxious. And then I became a military wife. And then for the past, 24 years, I have literally lived a life for everybody else, whether it was my husband, whether it was for the kids, whether it was for other military families. Everything that I've done in the past 24 years has always been in service to somebody else. And I put myself on the back burner. And in 2018, it came to a head. Burnout, caregiver burnout, lack of dealing with my issues, avoidance, you name it, I was there. You get prescribed a lot of medications. You fall into, like, Xanax was, my go-to because that was the one thing that got rid of the anxiety really quick, and I was able to get on to doing what I needed to do. But in the same time, it wasn't helping me. It was just masking everything around me. So before, really to get to the heart of before psychedelics, I was a puzzle piece. I didn't know who Dawn was because I'd been spent so much time, figuring out everything else for everybody else. But it was never Dawn, never authentically, this is Dawn. Leading up to the experience in Jamaica, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I knew that we were going to be doing psychedelic mushrooms, so I just tried to read up as much as I could. But I just went in with a real open heart because I knew that the more open I was, the more benefit I was going to get for my own mental health. So this experience that I'm going to talk about is my first and very much my transformative psychedelic journey with mushrooms. I had the opportunity to go to Jamaica with Wake. It was the first time they had ever put on a retreat. So we were kind of all not sure what was going to happen. And just from the very get-go, getting off the plane, it just felt right. So we, once everybody got to know each other and we started really diving into setting your intention. And I didn't know any of this. I didn't know anything about setting intentions for using psychedelics. And I had the chance to sit and chat with a spiritual psychologist who actually was the first person that ever asked me, what is your intention using this medication? And I kind of, looked at him like, what do you mean? And he's like, you need to set your intention, Dawn. That small little chat literally opened up. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's that little piece that I've been missing of what am I doing? What exactly am I doing? Being a person who's not used to having my needs completely met, on more than just a superficial level, it was a really hard question to answer myself. And boy, oh boy. The journey started very slowly. It was 3.5 grams of Jedi mind fuck. Sorry about the language. And it was in a chocolate form. And I wasn't sure what to expect. I literally was just, put the eye blinds on, listen to, there was a sound bath shaman who was doing our journeys for us. And then once I got used to the feeling of, kind of being here but not here, that's when I just let go 100%. And as I'm going through this process of, internally saying, you need to let go. And it was like around my feet, all of a sudden, it was snakes. Like all of these snakes were encompassing, my feet and then encompassing my legs and just working their way up. And as they're working their way up my body, I am starting to cyclone in that. And as I'm doing that, it's like I'm shedding. Like everything is shedding off of me. Like my worries, my unhealthy thinking, just the unknowing of who I am and the bullshit that I've put up with and the bullshit from everybody else that has been dumped on me and the just everything that I couldn't quite figure out what was wrong with me all of a sudden became very clear that there was nothing wrong with me, that I literally was holding on to so much stuff that it became like an armor or like a cocoon around me. And these snakes were literally helping me shed all of it. And I'm literally like a cyclone, and I feel so powerful, and I feel that I am like bursting with who I am. And it just kind of came to this big epicenter where just like it literally just blew out, and it was like light, just like very much. I was now a beam of light. I was a beacon of light. And it was the most amazing, powerful feeling for me. Every time I breathed in, it was breathing in newness. And every time I breathed out, it was just shedding more and more. And it was just slowly turning into dust, until I kind of came back down. And it was just, I felt like I was encompassed with, instead of old and kind of, I guess, dirty old skin, I felt fresh and I felt glowy and I felt new. And then, like slowly I started coming to, and it was beautiful and the sun was setting, and it was just beautiful, like it just made me feel whole again. The biggest insight for me and the biggest takeaway was that I am my biggest block. A lot of it really made me realize how much I'm giving away, like how much power I give away to other people, how much of my empathy and my compassion and my everything that I give away on a daily basis. And it sometimes robs me of what I need. And I really do think, shedding the skin of my journey was, literally shedding, 45 years worth of not being true to myself and really focusing in on what I need in order to thrive and survive going forward. So, a big part of integrating this into my life was taking back my control. So, going forward, I have, really focused on who I am. Pretty much set a caveat with everybody else. Like, I need you to start taking care of yourselves. I need all of you guys to rely on yourselves more because mom, new wife, new whatever, new Dawn has new boundaries. Sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you. And when you haven't done that for a really long time, it's super scary. It's very overwhelming, but it is so necessary. Learn before to not go into it blind. Give yourself space to figure out beforehand what you're comfortable with. Once you take that psychedelic medication, there's no turning back. and that it's not like a video game where after half an hour you don't want to do it anymore and you can unplug. You're plugged in, and it will sometimes be hard and it will be challenging, but if you trust the process and if you have trust in the people that you're doing it and surrounding yourself with to have your back and hold your space authentically, that you will get the most out of the medicine as possible.